I've noticed I had a little bit of a problem. I have a bunch of different guns that I shoot maybe a couple hundred rounds through and that's about it, and then they just end up sitting in the safe. So recently, I decided to pick just 1 or 2 guns and get really good with them, as opposed to having 50 different ones that I never shoot. I recently had the chance to do some long distance shooting, so I grabbed the M4, put an ACOG on it, and then drove out into the mountains. Now, as someone who is guilty of collecting more guns than I probably need, I think that picking only 1 or 2 to really practice with and get good at can be incredibly beneficial. It helps you get comfortable with handling with it, understand what it excels with and what it doesn't, and how maybe you need to change it up in case you need to use it for whatever reason, whether that just be for sporting, hunting, home defense, or concealed carry, or anything else. It also helps you understand the drawbacks of the gun just inherently. Maybe some guns are better for longer distance, maybe some are better for shorter distances. When you spend time shooting the gun as opposed to having many different ones, you get to learn these things and you know how to use it best. Now, I've chosen to set up my M4 with this ACOG in this way because I've wanted to shoot longer distance for a while, and so now I finally have the opportunity. Is the M4 with the ACOG maybe the most ideal setup in this day and age? No, probably not, but it makes me happy, and we've also seen it prove itself time and again overseas. Only a few months ago, I was shooting in 25 yards with a red dot, and now I was able to drive 100 miles just to go shooting a long distance up in the mountains and put an ACOG on it. And the gun performed really well in both situations, at least as well as it could for the limitations of me as the shooter. Please excuse the funky hair, it is windy out. But anyway, so I was actually having my shots shoot pretty low instead. I even got some on the wood instead. I was holding right about here every time, but yeah, clearly I was still shooting a little lower than I thought. So definitely more to improve, but regardless, it was such a good time here. I think sometimes when I get to the range, I'm so preoccupied with setting up and improving and all that stuff that especially in places like these, I forget to take the time to just tune out the shooting and just listen to everything else and all the nature. Sounds a little melodramatic, but I mean, check out how quiet and peaceful this is.
way I chose the 1 to 2 guns that I decided I'd want to get better at is a combination of what I like to shoot and what's enjoyable, and then what do I also think I will actually need to use on a daily basis. So for someone like me that's more just for hobbyist and enjoyment, then maybe concealed carry and home defense. And so for pistols, that's something like a Glock 19 or whatnot. But then in terms of rifles, the AR-15 was a clear choice. It's because it's available in any budget range that you might have. The ammo it shoots is very easy to control and is also very plentiful. And as I mentioned earlier, it's very configurable and versatile. Now, in my opinion, there's nothing wrong with having a bunch of different guns, as long as you're not living on the edge financially to do so. As I mentioned before, I have a bunch of guns and finally got to the point where I needed a proper safe to be able to store all of them safely and organize them. And I tell you, I gained a lot of floor space back in where I live just by doing that. Focusing on just using 1 or 2 guns is definitely a very practical approach, but let's not forget the other side, which is that shooting is also very fun, and it's a hobby and it's a pastime for a lot of people. And as we all know, the adage, variety is the spice of life, and that can definitely apply to shooting. And I actually started my shooting career, journey, I should say, by collecting different World War II rifles. So I definitely have been scratched by that itch to have a lot of different guns too. Anyways, that's my food for thought. Have a lot of fun, but also if you want to get better at things, I've found in my personal experience that just picking 1 or 2, guns and just kind of, really going deep in those really helped me become better when I did that. I used to shoot a bunch of different pistols and different configurations of rifles, but when I finally sat down and understood, okay, what am I actually going to really need and use, and just I went to the range only with those, I tended to pick up skills a lot faster. And so, just some food for thought, but have some fun too. Lastly, if you followed me for a bit, you've noticed, or you may have noticed, that I'm shooting in a pretty different area than what I used to. Before I was shooting a lot just in a local outdoor range, but now there are a lot more mountains here. Long story short is that due to some stuff happening in life, I have now moved out of the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And so with that comes, a whole bunch of different things in life, also a lot of new shooting spots and a lot of new shooting videos and different types of videos for you guys too. So definitely very excited for that. I think a lot of these kind of mountains and the scenic stuff, all this nature, is something that I really enjoy about shooting, but maybe never really had the chance to get this kind of outdoors experience that I really wanted. So I'm super excited to film more of this kind of stuff and kind of blend the whole Serenity thing with a bunch of shooting. So super excited to take you guys along. Can't wait for more videos to share with you, and I'll see you in the next one.